deciding our 4th seed for Worlds. It's our final series of summer, and we're into picks and bans.
And it's crazy to see so far, right? We were talking about how RNG might adapt to LNG and like having to take away things like the Sejuani, them coming in on red side because LNG did win the coin flip, means just having to ban away some of these champions. But Rob, I'm kind of excited. We see the Sivir banned out so far. I wonder if that means RNG will actually have to match with the Zeri ban.
Yeah, which would actually make things really interesting because then we can start to see a little bit more flexibility. Maybe the Lucian starts to get picked up first, but I mean, this feels like a no-brainer on the Zeri pick, but it does mean that you get the Poppy coming through for Wei here, which definitely feels like the trade-off that RNG were trying to look for.
Yeah, so we'll be able to go for that self-kill potential if they want. We have seen junglers actually kind of lean into things like the Wukong over the Poppy, which is kind of weird that we have seen that transition, right? Considering that she can shut down a lot of what Wukong does. But I just love when a team can be able to lean on that engage. With Sivir off the table, though, I would expect this Lucian to be the pickup. Both Lucian and Sivir kind of being those answers in different veins. I think a lot of people underestimate the amount of like range damage that Lucian could put off, but once you have Calling plus Gale Force, very easy to just burst out that Zeri and, 100-0 combo.
And I think it's been one of the champions that Gala's actually looked the most comfortable on as well. Like, we kind of talk about the Sivirs and the Zeris, how it hasn't exactly been the best of times for Gala on that bot side, but the Lucian has been great. On the upside, though, there's that Wukong we were talking about, Lyric, the Lulu, no-brainer. It'll be the Nami match. And then I think we start to look towards more mid-lane bans, right? Especially if you're LNG, trying to make Xiaohu uncomfortable. We already kind of talked about he has a very, not limited champion pool in, his ability to play these champions, but the ability to set up what RNG need from is on a very niche set of picks.
And I'm interested to see now, because I would expect RNG to look towards the mid pool, right? They're going to have first pick of whatever they want to go to. I think for LNG, things like Lissandra look very good in the composition that they put forward so far. I don't know how much weight you put into things like the Renekton being able to come out. We haven't seen LNG actually flex the pick all that much, but it's still been a very huge annoyance for the side of LNG.
It's kind of interesting to talk about the mid laners, because when you think classically about Xiaohu, you don't think of these roaming mid laners. But now Doinb and Xiaohu actually going to be facilitating a very similar role in that mid lane for the two teams, in that they want to get into those sides.
But it's interesting. We've only seen that role from Doinb in playoffs. When you actually look at him in the regular split, like 0% win rate on Ryze, TF, Galio, he's actually started to be more active in the roam potential with things like Nocturne in the mid lane coming through into this the playoffs and the regionals. So curious to see exactly what Doinb does want to go for here. I definitely feel like he's kind of leaned more towards the Akali and these kind of things. So if you end up with something like a Lissandra on the opposite side, or if you don't ban the Lissandra here, I feel like then that's going to take away the opportunity for Doinb to go towards that pick.
And yeah, it seems like for RNG, yeah, I'm kind of surprised myself. Again, Lissandra, I think, looks great in both compositions. For RNG, definitely wanting to lean more into early aggression. Their composition would love some engage to be able to round out, because even if you have the pop and you can set up for this peel disengage style, I mean, having things like the Lucian, in the mid game, you're gonna want to be able to truck in and go full force. So we do still have things like the Ahri available. It is something that Xiaohu obviously was playing a ton during the season, but I don't feel like we've seen as much of it in playoffs.
Is there a conversation for blind Gnar here? Gnar still available? It's something Breathe is more than happy to play.
I think they just want to make sure they get counterpick for Breathe. When you see how strong Allah has been when he gets counterpick, you don't want to give him that opportunity, especially with stuff like the Fiora still left up and available. But this is not the pick
Ox had a red X on the graphic on the desk for this, boys. But RNG still feeling confident that they can make it work. At least it does give them some good, scaling towards that late game. They can have Gala be that huge carry in the mid game, and 25% win rates. Not looking great so far, but to the side of LNG, I think great angle for the Akali to come out. It's been one of the go-to picks.
But that's what I mean, is like a 25% rate on Azir on Xiaohu for Azir, and then I look across and you're like, oh, well, now I just get to take the Akali into that, which is one of Doombi's best picks at the moment. Like, it just feels like you're playing into the hands of LNG with this, even despite the win rate.
And you can see Doinb on the camera stretching out, getting ready for the game. He knows he's going to need his mechanics, and he knows he has a matchup that he can play. We mentioned the Gnar before being hovered here for Ala is the final pick to round out LNG's composition. So a lot of power in those teamfights, a lot of CC in those teamfights, but now counter pick for Breathe.
For RNG, I mean, you have two avenues you can go, right? If they wanted to go towards a generic tank like that we've seen other teams lean on, like JDG, they could and play front to back since they have the Azir. But I think knowing RNG and their side lane style, I expect this to be locked in.
Yeah, and this was also the pick that Breathe had a great showing on in their initial series against EDG in regionals. Like that game one, he popped the hell off. So it definitely feels like they'll be trying to give those resources towards Breathe in the top side again, see if they can shut down this Narc, shut Allah down, and then have an easier time when it gets in towards those later fights. Even when we've seen Breathe kind of playing that engage tool as well with the Counter-Strike, trying to find good flanks.
And when we look at RNG's composition holistically, right, kind of goes back to the thing of like, not a whole lot of guaranteed engage. You have things like Ming's ultimate and Xiaohu, of course, can go in with, you know, the patented Dagda swoop and boop, find ways to bring people in, and then have like that 1-4 sit up there. But it definitely looks like being on objectives first, or being able to poke people off before they get into range with like calling Gale Force or Sand Soldiers is what they need to do. But LNG's comp looks way more well-rounded.
Yeah, I agree. I think RNG need to snowball off of early Dragons. Like, you've got the Lucian Nami, you've got the push for Zir there. Try and play towards those early objectives and see if you can snowball them. Otherwise, I mean, you've just got a great front to back, great opportunity to dive in onto the back line with the Akali. I mean, Lulu's there, he scales so incredibly well. It's going to be tough for RNG if they don't get off the bat early.
I love as well that LNG, this composition is like go forwards in those team fights. This is a composition where you can make things happen. But for RNG, the Lucian Nami in the bottom lane, I feel like they have to have presence, because we've all seen once you get to the late game, you just get outranged and it feels like it's difficult to impact.
I do want to say, if there's anything we can take away from EDG, is that if played to, you know, like perfect condition in the later stages, I mean, Lucian Nami can do a lot. It just becomes way more about picks than dealing like huge DPS, right? It's going to be how RNG can maneuver, like playing in brushes, choking out vision, being a little bit cheesy.
I feel like when you're talking about EDG, though, no matter what the AD carry pick is, you're talking about Viper. The man is inhuman. Like, whether or not every team can make that happen is a different question.
I think the other big thing to note is that just when we get to that mid game, how strong the mid game for RNG has been, how messy the mid game for LNG has been. Even when we look across it, it's just been such a massive difference between these two.
Well, it's time to get our final series of the year underway. We're on Summoner Swift. It's LNG and RNG. As LNG going to be trying to go for their miracle run. Once again, RNG, though, want to make it to Worlds. They don't want to be the first team not to make it after winning MSI.
I mean, that would not exactly be the best title to hold. And RNG, this is Last Chance Saloon. For a team that has been, you know, so strong, such a like mainstay name in the LPL, for them to fall at this hurdle now would be absolutely heartbreaking for the squad. But I mean, for LNG, keeping that miracle run alive, take two to see if they can run it back like they did in Worlds 2021.
Especially for the fact that all those years when they were Snake, that they weren't able to do it, right? Back when Flanje was on the roster, they had people like Beast and Nella, they had Crystal, the OG LPL Draven player in the league. Now finally able to bring it back and try and do it consistently would be huge.
And that's the thing, this is an organization that has kind of just run back to that 4th place consistently, right? We saw it last split, or sorry, in summer 2021, we see it now in summer 2022. The highest finish they ever had is Snake also was that 4th place. It feels like they're so close to kind of cresting into that top 3, but have just never quite been able to break that ceiling.
Never quite able to break that barrier. Is Breathe and Allah trading pretty aggressively. We've got both junglers starting on the bottom side as well, which with Breathe versus Allah, you know, Curse versus Natural up in that top side. I'm not surprised to see the junglers moving up to what could be a really volatile lane.
And I think it's really important, right? Because we've seen for LNG, we've talked about it extensively about how much they like to play up towards this top side. So Wei matching the clear, heading up towards that top side as well. You need to get some vision down and make sure the early gank doesn't come through, because you can see Breathe already stacking this wave into Allah, could leave himself open for a very easy gank window for Tarzan.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what they're trying to see if they can cover here. Wei immediately moving up towards that top side. And I feel like a lot of this for Wei is just kind of like letting the lanes do their work, right? You've got counter matchup mid, or you got a good matchup mid, good matchup bot, same in top side. Just let the lanes bully as best they can. Even with the double first strike for Xiaohu and Gala, like they're going to be accelerating quite quickly into this mid game. And again, trying to play around some of these neutral objectives early, using that lane presence.
That's the huge thing, right? I feel like for RNG, the first timer where they really come online is going to be that 8-minute mark, and looking to see if they can use the fact that they have push and top and can eventually rotate them over for this Herald, but maybe not. Maybe we're going to have a fight right now.
There's no way they're waiting for 8 minutes right now. Wei moving into the jungle alongside Breathe, who had Prio in the top side. But Allah has managed to find himself, I think, a little bit of a freeze there. off the back of RNG stealing away a blue buff. Now we have to see how Tarzan responds.
Yeah, it's just a nice answer from RNG, realizing, hey, look, again, pushing top, pushing mid. Let's just try and be a bit of a nuisance. Now they'll get the Scuttle Crab on top side. You can see it'll be answered by Tarzan in the bot lane, but just a nice job to steal away Tarzan's early blue buff. And Wukong, a champion that does rely on blue buff a lot for those early clears.
Yeah, could be rough, you know, if you aren't able to get those abilities up consistently and look for that potential to punish us. He sadly is spotted out by the RNG bot lane, but I feel like this goes back to what we were hitting on about RNG coming in against EDG trying to target their top side. We were questioning if maybe today they'd look to punish Tarzan, and that looks like it's going to be the plan.
Yeah, especially when he's been just so strong in these early stages. We'll get a bit of a love tap here from Gala Ming, but like throughout the regular split, what we were talking about was when Tarzan looks good, LNG look good. So taking Tarzan off of his kind of comfort just makes such a big difference here for RNG.
Yeah, for Tarzan, this is a big series as well, not just in terms of obviously trying to get to Worlds for him and his team and to try and win, but also a bit of a reunion with the Griffin boys, right? Viper's already made it, Lehens and Chovy have already made it, and Gen G as well. It feels like for Tarzan, he's got to prove he's still in that echelon with his old teammates.
I mean, it's just so sad because he's definitely proven it off the eye test, off the gameplay, but you're right, all that's missing is I guess the accolade, the accolade of being able to get there. And LNG, the ones I think coming in with the momentum is something they could look to lean on, but we need to see them actually use that momentum and do something. Not a lot can be done, I think, until Duinby and Tarzan both hit that level 6 mark. Duinby is incredibly close, and Tarzan making his way now, but it's actually Wei the one who's going to continue to be proactive, Rob.
Yeah, it looks like he's sneaking in onto this bot side jungle. Does place the red ward and now going to try and sneak in behind the vision of LNG. Pick ward should spot him out, but Lightning Lumo are very overextended.
Behind enemy lines, but decides against the play in the end. I guess wasn't sure where Tarzan was going to be, so returns to his own jungle here. But so far doing a decent job. One camp up, and it feels tense. It feels like both teams a little nervous to overforce anything.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that coming from the fact that, I mean, right, we've hit a lot on the past few days about like early dragons being a lot harder to do. For LNG, they might have Prio and bot right now with how the wave bounce is going and pushing mid, but still, it'd be very easy for RNG's bot side to follow up. So Tarzan still fishing for some of these opportunities to look for ganks, but we finally hit the window. Duinby having that level 6 mark, they can start looking for some more aggressive picks into the enemy jungle themselves.
It does mean Xiao has to be a little bit more careful in mid lane as well, right? Like, there is a lot of damage that can come out very quickly from this Akali, especially if Tarzan is in tow. But, I mean, Tarzan missing out on these early camps means that he won't be level 6 as that Rift Herald spawns immediately. So I think if RNG looking to play around it, that's their window.
Bit of a jungle duel here between Tarzan and Wei. Is Duinby and Xiao, who now arrive and say, all right, lads, pack it in, right? Okay, you'll be barred if you keep this up. But LNG on priority right now is RNG move out from the bottom side. This could be a 4v4.
Yeah, they need to be careful. They can be pincered, but a lot of mobility between these two champions, right? Which is why I feel like both Duinby and Tarzan feeling comfortable that they can look for this scuttle. They aren't going to commit to it because the posture is still there from Xiaohu and Wei. They're going to have to back out, but, I mean, Gala and Ming getting control.
Again, though, like, look at the CS difference that's opening up between these two junglers, right? You've had Wei who's consistently been controlling these camps, now getting another Scuttle Crab for himself as well. Tarzan is going to struggle with levels, and, I mean, when you've got a minute until that Rift Herald spawns and he's still level 4, like, should hit 5 off this camp, but still, he is very far behind right now.
Oh, we just saw in bottom right-hand corner as well. Gala and Ming finding the all-in, actually forced Light to use the heal. So Wei just continuing to posture on the spot side, looking to see if they're able to get this wave in. Xiaohu still having complete control of mid lane as well. You'd expect him to start hovering down, but RNG not really able to do anything with this pressure. And guys, this is kind of turning into a typical RNG game, you know? Get through those first few levels. Again, not for lack of trying from Wei.
So my question then, is this a bad thing for LNG? Is this like, okay, RNG, they've got their slow early game, they go into their amazing mid game. Is this disaster for LNG? Because at the same time, LNG do have a Zeri.
Yeah, I don't think it's the end of the world for LNG. Like, they're fine going into the later portion. It's more on RNG to try and get the ball rolling. And looks like Duinby wants to see if he can shut down Breathe early. Hasn't been spotted.
Ala has flash, but not going to opt into it. And then the Shuriken goes slightly wide. Doomby will head back to the mid lane, but minus CS lead now for Xiaohu as they'll crash away.
Yeah, I like the call from Doomby, though. It's like, hey, look, Xiaohu starts to lean bot side. They're thinking about this dive. Let me see if I can get the pick on top side. And that can buy us time for Tarzan to hit 6, because Rift Herald is up and available. Wukong only just coming out of the base. Poppy has just hit 6 off her red camp, so you're going to see RNG just start up this Rift Herald immediately.
And we even saw when we panned over top side that Breathe, sure, the wave was on his side of the map, of the lane, but it was actually pushing into Ala. So having all the control. And for LNG, I think in terms of Rift Herald setup, they would really like to attack the side lane first. Like if they could have found that pick, that's their transition into then being able to take the Herald. So now gonna have to just look to be able to do something else, but nothing set up for a cross map. Gala and Ming actually just did a really good job left lane, got even more wards around the bottom half of the map. So not only do RNG get objective on top side, but they've complete vision control over bot side river.
And this is where it gets a bit scary for LNG, because it's not a case of, you know, compositionally they're going to do bad in the late game, right? Zeri Lulu going to do great. My biggest worry is how LNG play. LNG play for the early game. They're not the strongest when it comes to their mid-game decision-making, and if you are walking hand in hand with RNG, even with the slight lead that they have at the moment into the mid portion of the game, I think that's where it gets very scary.
I think that the good thing for them is, right, they have this composition that's going to rely a lot on being able to find flanks onto people like Xiaohu and Gala on the back line. The other day against EDG, that's where RNG really struggled, where we saw Flandre TPing and finding those flanks, and RNG not really sweeping out wards from behind them or having a member mark appropriately.
Yeah, we've seen a reasonable amount of success from the Sakali pick across playoffs and regionals, especially when it comes to, you know, across regionals especially. Felt like this Akali was somewhat an answer to the Zeri specifically, but, you know, Lucian perfectly killable, Nami perfectly killable,
Wait,
and Azir perfectly killable.
You actually just reminded me of yesterday, right, where we had Rookie do double the damage of the Zeri in the team fight.
Insane. 10,000 damage in a single fight from the Akali. Yeah, I don't know if Doomby can match that, but I'm sure damn willing to find out.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing you can't criticize for Doomby, it's his mechanics in a fight. That is for sure, and this Akali pick has always been good for him, but Tarzan wants to make something happen for Light down in the bottom side. Light has been the big carry for LNG. Gala trading heavily as Wei moves in as well. We could have a dive here as the Cullen comes out to loom out, but Tarzan's here. Double knock-up, Wild Growth in as well as Tarzan sent packing, and in goes Wei under the tower. Gala with first blood as the Herald comes down.
And Wei just reading the play perfectly. I don't even know if he was expecting the gank to come through, but just perfect timing, wanting to place the Herald down, has the ultimate available, getting the kill and getting a ton of plates as well.
Yes, such a big upgrade there for Gala. And even when you look at the CS lead, now he's got a kill for himself as well. RNG's bot lane are set up beautifully now to crest on into this mid game.
And this is something I'm really happy to see. When we've been talking about Gala not really stepping up, or Ming even struggling in the past few days, enabling their bot lane for success, we'll see here in the replay, they already have a massive stacked wave, Wei making his way down, and once Tarzan goes in for the ultimate, sure, huge damage comes through, but just in time, Wei with the ultimate to knock him away, and then the flash right into the wall to make sure they have the CC for Lumao.
Great tidal wave from Ming as well. Managed to hit onto both Light and Lumao, which sets up then for Wei to come in with that charge. So really nice job from RNG. Wei, though, sitting in on this top side, does have the support of Breathe, but it looks like, again, it's just about getting vision control, getting information on where Tarzan's going to be.
And Wei's reading this so well, seeing the Megas coming up.
Stun comes on out. Wei is here. Flash from Ala, though, and crunches on out underneath this tower, gets himself to safety. Wei has been so proactive this game.
Yeah, and again, it's every time he's just sneaking in ahead of Tarzan, making sure that he's there to make the play before Tarzan can try and answer. So ultimate down for Tarzan now. Now he can't try and play towards the top side because Ala's gone mini, he has no flash, and it makes things a hell of a lot easier for this RNG top side.
It's kind of crazy as well, because that's what we were saying about Tarzan yesterday. This was the story of Tarzan shutting out the enemy jungler. Now it feels like that's happening the opposite way around.
And I think it's been a really big upgrade for Wei as the course of the season has gone on, because one of the big criticisms we had of Wei was, like, once he doesn't have a set wave to, or sorry, lane to play around, it feels a bit lost in the game. And then he started to play a little bit around Xiaohu, but it feels like now he's been left to his own devices more and more, and he's finding these great timing windows to get in ahead of junglers, track them around the map, and really stepping up to be one of the best junglers that we have in the league.
And this might be one of the reasons why, hey, we might not like some of these picks for these players of RNG like the Azir, Azir, but being able to pick this and have these early prio lanes coming through allows for this strategy to work, and we can still see them all inning. But Doinby now with Night Harvester wanting to look up towards the top side, but Breathe keeps reading these plays perfectly.
I feel like Doinby is getting so frustrated here, right? So many times you see Doinby try and hover top, try and hover bot, but it's just never happening. And every single time, Shahu just crashes away. And you see 15 CS lead now.
And it's not only the 15 CS lead, it's the first strike gold as well. Like, he's consistently poking down the Akali, which is why we're seeing him, starting to get these first mythics on board a bit quicker. Having the boots in his back pocket for free as well is going to help him massively with accelerating this Azir.
And I think it's one of these things where we see RNG having all this pressure bot, right? Is Tarzan, you need to be a little bit careful, buddy. I mean, RNG just leaning so heavily towards his bot side. I mean, even if they don't take this turret in this rotation, right, this is gone. This is like a false sense of security for the side of LNG.
And the thing is, you can't even try and defend this as LNG because Allah just TP'd top 20 seconds until you get that unleashed teleport, and Breathe could easily just make his way down. So you have to be so careful now as LNG.
Look at Doinby. He's trying it again, guys. He really wants to find this kill on top, but without committing Tarzan, because Tarzan does need to lean to try and cover these plays, right? He's trying to buy time to make sure they can get into this mid game. It's going to be really hard to pull this off.
Good boomerang from Allah to try and cancel the recall. Here they go. They're just foregoing the minion wave. Meganos stun against the wall. There's the shuriken flip. Doinby finally finds that kill in the top side, but Wei's coming in to try and find the answer. Allah, low on HP, no flash available. Wei just goes for a 1v1, and it's too easy for it.
Great sidestep with the phase rush speed up to dodge away from the wallop, but nice gank from LNG, right? They play that really well underneath the turret, juggled the turret aggro fantastically. It's just the fact that Wei again is always matching these plays.
And now, right, we can see RNG starting to put pressure in mid. LNG have accepted that bot is already gone, which is why they've transferred Light and Luma over to this mid lane. And gonna try and get a first look on this Herald, knowing, hey, Breathe went down, and sure, Wei came up and made the gank, but we already do have presence on this top side. So maybe an objective trade coming through. I'd expect RNG to go for the Dragon right now, and we can see Tarzan already starting up this Herald solo.
The thing is, though, like, this Rift Herald isn't going to immediately get you a tower. No real damage has been done to any of these structures. You can see a little bit on top side, so it's not like it's going to net you a huge amount. Good boomerang, though, for Allah here just to stop Breed's recall, and then we'll see it work out perfectly. I got a bit nervous here with Allah because you could see Breathe couldn't quite get the counter-strike off right as Allah's on the edge. Allah leaping away just in time, but Wei is here to help out the top lane.
Yeah, Wei finish off. Also, the fact that they're doing that into a minion wave, like Doinby very narrowly avoided the minions with that shuriken flip. Like, fair play to him on the mechanics to make sure that hits, because we've
my God.
With Hooligans here too in the bottom side. RNG putting the pedal to the metal.
And where did any of this come from, right? One of the criticisms about RNG in the later games of the EDG series were they're not contesting enough. We aren't seeing enough happen on the map. 15 minutes in, tier 2 bot already gone.
And a 4,000 gold lead for RNG as well. And we're kind of just saying, hey, you want to get your lanes in order. You want to try and use this Rift Herald on Xiaohu. Fantastic with the Emperor's Divide. Sets up beautifully. And, I mean, that's the response for Doinby trying to make the play top.
And sadly for LNG, I mean, they just haven't been able to be in position anywhere else to cross-map, to punish, to try to find any advantages. They're going to try and get this mid lane turret right now, which might open up some avenues. But still not really having, I think, any pressure on the map, which really could turn this into vision in an enemy jungle.
I love that we see production being a little scared there, doing the replay in the picture-in-picture this time, because last time we got to dive on a tier 2 tower bot lane. It feels like the game pace starts to pick up now.
And I don't blame them, especially when I look at Gala, right? 2 items already completed, a serrated Dirk in his back pocket as he's working up towards the Collector as well. He should probably have that finished by the time this third Dragon comes up that LNG now feel the need to fight for. So LNG, this is where we talked about RNG needing to get off to a good start, and this is way more than I expected.
Exactly. Now they'll be able to have that pressure to, be on objectives first, that they can do well in postures over mid wave because they do have that Azir there as well. For LNG now, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more like double side lane attacks with soul laners, but RNG might beat them to the punch and take Allah down.
Allah, you're in the wrong spot here, mate. You don't have a turret anymore. He doesn't even know it's happening. 3 of them about to jump over the wall here, slammed against the terrain. It's a good flash from him, but the tidal wave's there, crunch over the wall, but Culling will take the beast down.
And it's just so decisive coming out from RNG. I love Wei flashing immediately, not giving the opportunity, but now LNG trying to take a page out of RNG's book.
Trying to be sneaky. Ultimate's used by the RNG bottom lane, but RNG not going to pass through that river, and it looks like they'll get away.
RNG wrote that book, boys.
Yeah, you can even see the sweeper of surprise. It's like, why are they not coming? Are we on a board? What went wrong here? Like, they were fully expecting RNG to show up, but again, just nice plays, getting more gold in towards Gala, and this is where now it just looks so difficult for LNG to try and contest at any of these upcoming fights.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not even 20 minutes. RNG have a 5K gold lead, but they wait in the brush. I love it. Again, the decisiveness from Wei, instantly go with the flash into the knockback into the wall. They do throw everything at Ala to try to guarantee that this goes down, but I think it's completely fine because, I mean, Dragon not up on the board, no objectives, so they're going to need those cooldowns anytime soon.
And again, it comes back to your point, Lyric, of, oh, well, where do you try and cross-map? Well, they'd no way pushed in on bot side. Breathe was keeping safe underneath that top side turret, so he wasn't going to get caught. And Xiao, who was hugging his tier 1 in the mid lane. So that was all fine. They do get the Rift Tower to mid. They do get the mid lane turret, so at least maybe they can push RNG back.
Oh, Tarzan!
Jumps in, Tarzan with a double knock up here. Gala in trouble. He's the carry, but he gets away. Flash forward from Light to get the shutdown, but knocked up and taken down himself. Xiao who answers.
And we see LNG knowing they're falling behind, committing so much to find that kill. Light does get it, but at the same time, RNG having enough CC, having enough lockdown to shut down a champion like Zeri after she commits her flash.
And that's the thing now, Light has no flash for this upcoming fight as well. RNG putting a ton of pressure under this tower, and you've got two melee champions. They can't really defend against the push from members like Xiao Hu and Ming.
I will say on the opposite end, right? Gala did also have to blow his flash as well, so going into, the next dragon, which will be up in a minute's time, going to be interesting to see how these AD carries do fare. But we've seen from RNG, they have the peel coming out through the Nami and the Poppy. For Light, he's kind of left to his own devices. Like, you're relying on Doinby, Tarzan, Ala creating enough pressure going in to buy space for him.
Yeah, and this was a nice play from Tarzan, just playing around the lack of vision here for LNG. Spotted out too late, immediately flashes over the wall. Great polymorph onto Gala to ensure he can't get away as well. And Light gets the follow-up, but it is just going to be the trade back with Light going so overextended.
Honestly, you take that trade every day as Light, though, right? You're the Zeri, you need more items. Lucian currently online with a shutdown available. That's 700 gold into Light's pocket. And now RNG, they need to keep this pace up.
Yeah, at least it does get 2 items for Zeri, but look at that bot side river. It's completely littered with RNG vision. You have nothing there for LNG, and you've got 10 seconds until that dragon's up. Doomby now TPing in, does have the Zonyas, which means he can play a little bit more aggressive, but it's not looking clean here for LNG. Tarzan needs to get a position and his Cyclone back up.
I'm surprised LNG's not committing anyone to bot lane to try to, like, bring someone in through the lane. They have pressure to come in from that flank, just trying to match RNG so far in river.
It's a tough one here. Completely blind are LNG as RNG just move over towards this Drake. They can start this one off with impunity here. Doomby finally finding his way into this jungle, but it might be too little too late.
But how the hell do you get in? There's red wards everywhere. The river is covered, and I mean, you're looking for a steal now as Tarzan.
Certainly are 5K on the Dragon here. Breathe trying to get the stun as Doomby goes in. There's a zap across the team, but Dragon resets. We send one pack in with the Poppy ultimate, and LNG, at least they found their way into River. We could have a 50-50 here as Wei tries to step up 2K on the Dragon. They're just going to burst it. RNG trying to zone away, and they will grab themselves a third Drake.
RNG are doing their due diligence, and they actually find a kill in the end onto Tarzan as well.
Baron.
Yeah, RNG maybe going to start moving over now. They don't have the ultimate on Wei, which does feel like a huge tool to dissuading the engage, but Doomby also at the same time doesn't have his ultimate anymore.
I mean, this is a great start for RNG. You can see how much this team wants to get back towards Worlds, and LNG, they're kind of scratching their heads going, how the hell did we end up in this position? And now you got to try and fight this without jungler.
Doomby's got to go in. They've got to make something happen here. 1K on the Baron. It's taken by Wei, and RNG showing us a masterclass of a mid game.
And LNG are just scrambling to get out of here, but now the Tarzan's back up. Gala turning.
Light almost goes down. I was saying that Zeri should be the preference here. Gala says he don't care about no lightning.
You can see LNG were like, maybe we can get this. Maybe we can get some poke down. And Gala's like, really, you think you can come at me with that, bro? Hell no. That's not what this is happening today.
Yeah, I mean, I love that Gala just following through with... We always characterized him as this AD carry that was really an assassin, right? He wants to go fight you. He wants to throw hands. And for RNG, he's going to be able to do it as much as he wants because they have a 6K gold lead. They're sitting on Soul Point, and RNG took it personally that they got sent to this elimination qualification match.
He's an entire item ahead of Light. He is so big. The first strike, all those plates he got early, the kills he got as well. Gala is huge, and I think Gala is we've kind of had this conversation before about how well Lucians are used in the LPL. Gala has been one of the standout performers on this pick.
Breathe could be in trouble, though. This is a potential window for LNG, but be just going to hit the wave with the shuriken, and that's the end of the play. And LNG, honestly, it feels like they're running out of avenues.
And it's been hard, right? Because they're finally trying to commit these plays on sides. For LNG, they were trying early to play two sides of the map. Have Tarzan cover where RNG's committing resources, and then Doinby can be that mainstay trying to find pressure for the side of LNG. But when RNG have done such a great job of covering kind of the hole, which is Breathe, because he's left by himself, right? He really isn't getting any attention. That's where RNG have just been able to balloon this massive lead. And we're at a point now where, I mean, it's going to take a huge play from Allah to make anything happen.
Well, he might have the opportunity, but the flash out from Xiaohu, and now the TP with a tidal wave, with a counter-strike. Ale falls once again, 0 and 4. And now RNG, they're just going to go for a top inhib. There is no response, barely, as Doinby here trying to clear, but you can't clear those Baron minions now. LNG move in from the side, Wade trying to escape here. Laser across the all in from LNG. There's one for Doinby. A Wildgrove to save the life, but he still falls in the end. Light stacking up here. RNG health bars are getting fairly low as Doinby goes in once again. Light engages upon. Breathe looking for the counter-strike. Can't find the stun, though. This fight going on forever. It's a Zeri dream here as Ming now the target. Light trying to chase it on through, and RNG buying space. Counter-strike in. Breathe looking for the kill onto Light, and he brings down the lamppost. Doinby next on the chopping block. Gala invincible, and Doinby will fall.
And honestly, just huge coming out from Breathe. I love the way RNG were fishing for that. Use the stun, go in, blow the flash, back up, and just keep waiting for it to come back up. Light has to go forward. Light has to try and take advantage of those health bars, and Breathe realizing that capitalizes.
And he was so close to getting that advantage on those health bars, but just not quite able to. Just the stun here coming through from Wei is a little bit of an overextension because Tarzan, beautiful knock up here onto everyone on RNG. And you see then the follow-up is here. Light untouched in the back line, starting to get the movement speed, able to chase members of RNG down. And they're doing a good job of like denying Breathe every time he goes in, but RNG are just waiting for that counter-strike cooldown every single time. And this time, even despite the polymorph coming through, Breathe manages to get it. Wei saves Gala barely on the backside of this as Doinby tries everything to kill him, but it's just not enough.
And sadly for Doinby, just not having the real damage to be able to take these members down. The amount of mobility on the side of RNG as well. We were hitting on the CC, but I mean, both Gala and Azir, like having those dashes as well as he apparently did his best. He apparently did his best.
Yeah.
They're just too tanky.
He was doing a lot of damage, but honestly, Breathe actually the highlight player of that fight. We've been talking about Gala all game long, but Breathe was the one getting onto Light, getting the damage onto Doinby as well, and this Jack's paying dividends.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a standout, but I think Wei as well, right? Wei was like the maestro of the early game, putting everything together to really set RNG up for this success.
Huge amount used on both sides, though, in that last fight. We're looking at Summoner Spells down galore, Mountain Soul up in 10 seconds. RNG trying to get control of the area. If Tarzan or Doinby can find that flank onto the back line, the sitting ducks of RNG in these carries could go down, but they need to find that moment.
And I feel like now we're looking at Allah for that huge Meganar ultimate onto numerous people to be able to burst out Xiaohu and
The
Gala.
only problem is he's currently Meganar. He's about to turn into Mini, and Dragon just spawned. RNG TPing in here to make the play.
Yeah, they're trying to see if they can just get this pulled away from RNG. Now you got to wait for that exhausted on the Nara to disappear, and Gala's not going to let you.
Oh my god, the damage onto Ala. Gala firing on all cylinders, slinging Light, but look who's caught in the backside of the play. Breathe with the counter-strike, looking for Light instead. They all dive on board, and RNG making it happen in game number 1, 12-3, as they demolish LNG.
The lights go out for LNG, and RNG capitalize beautifully. That will be sold for RNG. They will push in these waves, and with Baron in 40 seconds, it is a beautiful time to be an RNG fan.
And it felt like early game has not mattered in regional so far, but with this lead, with the fact that they have Soul, this feels all but done and dusted. And we're going to see here, I feel like there's like a few very important things in this fight. First of all, the damage coming out from Gala getting buffed up by Ming onto Allah. And here, I thought Breathe was dead because Lumao, amazing polymorph morph. He's about to go down, but this tidal wave coming from Ming was the big difference maker, allows Breed to get out and gives time for the other members of RNG to follow up to get this burst damage down.
And this is a big one for RNG as well, winning on the red side. We've seen how powerful blue side has been all regionals long. The fact that they feel like they're about to crest into this win on red side, it's going to be massive for them in the next couple of games.
And I just want to take a moment to appreciate Ming in this game as well. This Nami has been beautiful. The tidal waves on point every single fight. 11 out of the 12 kills he's been a part of, and so much of that damage you're seeing out from Gala is down to Ming. Baron taken without a single contest, because how can you possibly contest LNG 11,000 gold down?
And it's crazy that we've highlighted every member on the side of RNG except Xiaohu. For the longest time this split, we were like, this is Xiaohu's team. Xiaohu needs to be on a facilitator. He needs to roam. But honestly, this game, Xiaohu has kind of been like a pressure bot. Like, I'm on Azir. I can guarantee we can push in waves. I can make sure with my passive putting up a turret, there's like a default line we can play around. But it's been all the other members stepping up.
The biggest 33% win rate for his year. That's what we like to see.
It was all a bait. It was all leading to this moment.
Oh, Alice in trouble again. The calling is just going to one-shot Tarzan. It's the clone, luckily, as he zips on out of the play. And they're just forced out of the jungle. I love how RNG will not give a singular inch to LNG as Light gets chunked out. There's just so much damage to deal with.
And the thing is, you still have Breathe on this top side. Doomby can't really deal with this Jax who's diving him underneath the tower. Now you got the rest of RNG moving up towards this top side. Immediately, 2 inhibitors gone, and LNG, they're just running out of base.
And I mean, they just don't have the wave clear to be able to take this down, right? You have so much siege potential coming out from the Azir. Gala being able to use this culling every time it comes off cooldown to force another member back to make sure they have it. And Hala, once again, you need to be careful. Tarzan trying to find the window.
This might be the end of the game as Light uses his ulti. Doomby in the middle of everything needs to be the hero, but he's gone. He's eradicated. Xiaohu on the hunt now, sends him back to the fountain. And I'm telling you, RNG don't believe in miracle runs. They start as they mean to go on with domination in game 1.
RNG come out swinging in game number 1, decimating LNG from early to mid, and they don't even let us get to a late game where that Zeri can pop off. Beautiful stuff from RNG.
It is a great day when you get to hear Dagda say RNG very happily. LNG, though, on the opposing side. Not going to be feeling great, but honestly, it feels